Married people, what's the cutest thing your partner did that made you want to marry them again? I hadn't cried like that since I was a kid. The storm came out of nowhere last July, one of those crazy summer ones where the sky just opens up. I was at work when my neighbor texted me a picture. My backyard looked like a bomb went off. The garden was completely destroyed. That garden wasn't just plants to me. My grandma built it when I was 6 years old. Every single Sunday, rain or shine, I'd go over there and help her pull weeds and water everything. She'd tell me stories about each plant, where it came from, why she picked it. When she died 3 years ago, my parents sold her house. But I had convinced them to let me dig up some of her plants first. I replanted everything in my backyard, the white trellis she painted herself, the lavender that always smelled like her perfume, even that stupid wooden bench that wobbled because one leg was shorter than the others. And now it was all gone. Just mud and broken wood everywhere. My husband Jake got home before me that day. When I pulled into the driveway, he was standing in the backyard just staring at the mess. I walked back there and completely lost it. I'm talking ugly crying, the kind where you can't breathe right. He didn't say anything. He just held on to me while I soaked his work shirt with tears and snot. We stood there until it got dark. I fell asleep on the couch that night still wearing my shoes. I figured that was it. The garden was gone. I'd have to just get over it. But then Jake started acting weird. He'd leave for work at his normal time, but he'd come home way later than usual, like 9 or 10 at night. When I asked him about it, he said his boss gave their team some big new project and everyone had to stay late. I didn't think much of it at first, but I started noticing things. One night I hugged him and felt how sore his shoulders were. Another time I saw dirt caked under his fingernails even though he works in an office. His hands looked rough, like he'd been doing construction or something. He had actual blisters on his palms. I asked him if he was okay and he just said work was stressful, but something felt off. He kept going into the garage and closing the door. A couple times I heard him on the phone talking quietly, and when I walked in he'd hang up real quick. Honestly, I started getting paranoid. My brain went to dumb places like maybe he was hiding something bad, but then I'd look at him and think, no way, not Jake. Still, the whole thing was strange. This went on for almost 3 weeks. Then one Sunday morning he woke me up super early, like 7 in the morning, which is crazy for a weekend. He told me to put shoes on and come outside with him. He wouldn't tell me why, just kept saying I needed to see something. I was annoyed because I wanted to sleep in, but I threw on my sneakers and followed him. He led me to the back door, then stopped me before I could open it. He said close your eyes first. I thought he was being dramatic, but I did it. He opened the sliding door and guided me onto the patio. Then he told me to look. I literally couldn't move. My legs stopped working. I had to grab onto the door frame to keep from falling over. My grandma's garden was back. Not kind of back, completely back. Every single thing. The white trellis with the chipped paint in the same spot, the row of lavender plants on the left side, the herb boxes she made out of old wood, even that crooked bench that always leaned weird because grandma never fixed the leg. I turned around and Jake was holding this old photo album I didn't even know he had. He said he'd been taking pictures of the garden on his phone for months before the storm, and he'd also found old photos from when we visited grandma's house years ago. He studied every detail. Then he told me he'd been leaving work on time, but driving around to different plant nurseries trying to find the exact same types of plants grandma had. He said some of them were hard to find, so he called like 15 different places. For the trellis and bench, he tracked down this old guy named Ed, who used to do carpentry and came out of retirement to help him rebuild everything exactly how it looked in the photos. Jake had been doing all of this after I went to bed and on weekends when I visited my parents. He'd even had our neighbor help him keep me distracted. I just stood there staring at him, then at the garden, then back at him. I couldn't talk. My throat felt like it had a tennis ball stuck in it. Finally, I started crying again, but different than before. I walked over to him and just buried my face in his chest. I told him I'd marry him again right there in the dirt if I could. He laughed and said that's good because his back was killing him and he never wanted to use a shovel again.